Do you want to transform a terracotta pot into something special but don't know exactly where to start? I'm taking one of the simplest Dollar Tree finds and transforming it into a glowing celestial treasure filled with moonlight, starlight, and golden warmth. I'll even show you how to make it waterproof. Stick around for all the easy to follow steps. Hello, my crafty friends. I'm Donna from Mason Creations, etc. And welcome to my channel. If you're ready, my friends, let's make a mess. I got this little terracotta pot at the dollar store. They didn't come with saucers, so I had to get those at a plant nursery. I'm going to be putting a lot of hard work into this little planter, so I want to make sure it's well protected. I'm using Polyvine Exterior Extreme Varnish to make this little pot waterproof. I'm going to coat the inside and the outside of the pot. This is going to have a live plant in it, and I don't want the plant water soaking through the terracotta to the outside of the pot. That would absolutely ruin it. I did 3 layers on the inside of the pot, waiting 1 hour between layers and waiting 1 more hour after the last layer. I only did 1 layer on the outside of the pot because I'll be adding additional layers along the way as we go. I'm using my favorite, DOS clay, to make some embellishments for this project. DOS clay is so easy to work with, dries quickly, and has very little shrinkage or cracking when dry. It's perfect for making molded pieces. After pressing the clay into the mold, I'm scraping off the excess with my palette knife. Now I'm smoothing the clay out with some water. Then I'll put them in the freezer for 20 minutes. Freezing the clay makes it rigid, so they just pop out of the mold easily. No fragile pieces will break off. Watch how easily this comes out of the mold. It's frozen, so I'll need to let it thaw for a few minutes, but not in the mold. Make sure you always remove clay from the mold as soon as you take it out of the freezer. I'm going to use Aleene's tacky glue to add my molded clay to my piece. I need to add this while the clay is still wet so it'll conform to the piece as it dries. This is the best glue I've found for attaching wet clay. If any glue seeps out from under the clay, I'm removing it right away with a clean, damp brush. I'm also pressing down all the edges of the clay very delicately to make sure they're all connecting with the piece. After gluing the first trim piece, I added some painter's tape loosely to hold it in place and keep it from sliding. This way I was able to turn it over to add the second piece. I had the pot positioned on my cup cradle so that nothing was touching the clay. I don't want any of the detail to get smashed. I butted it right up to the other piece and trimming off the excess with my palette knife. I'm going to let this dry overnight. Clay can shrink slightly while drying, so I have a small separation between the 2 clay pieces. Here's the easy fix. I'm adding some texture paste in the crack with my palette knife and smoothing it with a damp brush. It works great and will dry in just a couple of hours. My very long time crafty friend Sharon G asked if I would paint a terracotta planter with bright colors. Here you go, Sharon, my friend. This video is for you. Because you're watching this video today, decoupagenapkins.com is going to give you a 10% discount on one order that's a minimum of at least $50. This is a one-time discount and is good on your entire order when you use the code MASON10 in all caps at checkout. So now you can get that mold you've been eyeing or some additional rice papers you've been wanting. Even if you've been ordering from them in the past, you can still take advantage of this one-time 10% discount when using the code above. I'll leave all this information for you in my description box below. Now I'm adding all my celestial clay pieces, the sun, moon, and stars. The mold I used has been in my stash for a while, and I believe it may be discontinued, but I'll leave you a link for a similar mold. I actually let the sun and moon dry overnight before turning it to add all the little stars. In most of my videos, you'll see me using a lot of different tools that make life so much easier. Things like a turquoise cup cradle to keep round objects from getting away, a bow dabra that makes bows in a snap, a water brush for separating rice paper and napkins, small art brushes for fine detail work, palette knives, and a rhinestone picker. If you're interested in checking out any of these items, you can find them listed in my description box below, in my favorite tools section. To find my description box, click on the word more just below the title of this video. I let all that clay dry overnight, and now I'm going to start painting. First thing, I'm using the dark blue paint to create a shadow around all of the molds. This serves as my base color. Wait until you see how I am going to blend 3 colors to create a beautiful ombre background. Where are you all watching from, my crafty friends? Let me know in the comments. I just love to see what cities and countries all my friends are watching from. I'm filming from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. I'm going to use Pentart Dark Blue and Country Blue. I mixed a little bit of black paint with the dark blue to make it a bit darker, and this gives me a third color. I have 3 sponges, one for each color, that I've misted with some water. A damp sponge will help your colors blend better. While you're blending, if the colors stop blending easy, just mist your sponge with more water. I'm starting at the bottom with the light blue paint. I'll blend the dark blue paint into the light blue. Then at the very top, I'm sponging the really dark blue and blending it with the blue under it. I just keep going back and forth with the 3 colors until I like the way it looks. I'm getting paint all over my clay molds, but there's no other way to do this, so I'll take care of all that shortly. I took the darkest blue at the top, inside the pot about 1 inch. When I add my plant, I'll bring the soil up to that line. DecoupageNapkins.com has an amazing selection of napkins, and the best part is that you can purchase them individually. They carry a wide range of craft supplies, including rice paper, paints, clay, molds, and an excellent selection of polyvine products. With thousands of items available and new products being added regularly, it's truly a one-stop shop for crafters. Orders are carefully packed and shipped quickly. You'll earn bonus points on orders over $100. Additional offers may vary and are often seasonal, so be sure to check their website. You'll find any promotions displayed in a banner at the top of their homepage. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address to receive 10% off your next order. This discount is separate from the Mason 10 code and may be used on an additional purchase. I'll leave links to all the products I use in the description box below. Please note that all offers are subject to change. I'm going to be painting all this molded clay, and I don't want to take a chance of messing up my ombre paint. To protect it, I'm giving it a coat of my extreme varnish. This way, if I get paint anywhere, it'll just wipe right off with a damp cloth. I'm not varnishing any of the clay molds, just going around all of them. And then I'll let that dry for about 1 hour. Well, I really made a mess with all that blue paint, so it's time to clean it up. The only way to do that is to repaint them with some white. So I'm painting all my molded clay pieces with Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color cotton. This is covering all that blue paint nicely. Blue is a very hard pigment to cover, so it needs to start over as white again. Any of the products I use in my videos are wonderful products that I personally believe in, so you can bet that each one is a great product. Everything I use will be listed in my description box below. Each one will have a blue link, so they're easy for you to find. Any links I provide are safe for you to click on. To find my description box, click on the word more just below the title of this video. And then I let this dry for about 30 minutes. Now that I have a clean slate, I can start painting my colors. The sun is a nice Pentart bright yellow. Both of the moons are Pentart white coffee, and wait until you see what I end up doing to the moons and stars. They're going to be beautiful. I did a little dry brushing of a bright orange over the sun. I painted the sun yellow because that's how we see it, and that's how the sun is always portrayed. But our sun actually isn't yellow at all. It's a brilliant white. As sunlight passes through our atmosphere, the blues and violet colors become scattered. When the scattered blue light is removed, what reaches our eyes shifts towards the yellow end of the spectrum. Isn't that an interesting little tidbit of information? I'm actually fascinated by space and celestial facts. Then I did all the stars a different color: pentart purple, fuchsia tropic bay blue, light orchid, pentart turquoise blue, and pentart mallow. I just want to take a moment, all of my crafty friends, to say thank you for watching this video. If you're enjoying the content, it would be great if you could take a quick second and hit the like and hype buttons. I appreciate you for doing that. I have some awesome new projects coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. I couldn't decide on what color to make the trim around the top of the pot, but I eventually decided to paint it the Tropic Bay Blue. I let all the paint dry for about 30 minutes, and then I gave the entire pot a coat of varnish. I'm going to be doing an antiquing technique, and I need a shiny surface for that. Then I let the varnish dry for an hour. I'm mixing my own antique using a glazing medium and some paint. I put about a teaspoon in a little paper cup and then added just a few drops of paint. The glazing medium prolongs the drying time of the paint. This way you have a longer working window. Before you apply any antiquing, you need to have a satin or gloss finish. This will allow you to wipe the antique off the surface, and it will remain in all the cracks and crevices. Without a shine on the surface, the antique will grab onto the bare paint, and you won't be able to wipe any of it off. I always add a little water to my mixture because I prefer my antique a little bit runnier. I'm applying it with a brush and wiping it off right away with a soft, dry cloth. You can mix the glazing medium with any color paint to make antique. This allows you to get really creative with your projects. I just love mixing custom antiques that match all the colors of my projects. You'll see me do it a lot. And I'll let this dry for a couple hours. And what is a night sky without some stars? I'm using just a tiny bit of white paint and mixing it with water to make it really runny. I'm loading a fan brush with the paint and just tapping the handle of the paintbrush. This sends splatters all over that look like little stars. If any landed on any of my clay embellishments, I wiped it off right away with a damp Q-tip. I'm using Dixie Belle pearlescent glaze to add a shimmer to both moons. This glaze makes it look like satin. I don't even know if the camera does this justice. It's actually really beautiful. I'm pretty sure the stars need to sparkle. I'm going to use Polyvine Glitter Paint Maker. I'm putting just a little bit of my varnish in a paper cup, maybe about a half of a teaspoon. Now I'll add the glitter paint maker, about a half of a teaspoon as well. I mixed it together, and now I'm going to give each clay star a coat of this for some outstanding sparkle. This not only glues the glitter to your piece, but it seals it so the glitter doesn't fall off and get everywhere. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. I'm using the Polyvine Exterior Extreme Varnish in the satin finish for my final sealer. This is what's going to make your piece waterproof. This product is made for exterior use and extreme weather conditions. You can use this product for any projects that you intend to put outside, such as painted rocks or planters. It's waterproof, high chemical, high UV resistant, as well as drying ultra hard for great protection. However, don't put your piece in the dishwasher and don't allow your piece to sit in standing water. It can withstand a lot, including a live plant that gets watered, Your little planter will be cured and ready for a plant in less than a week. But don't water the plant from the bottom. That's going to create standing water. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. I primed the little saucer with the exterior extreme, painted it in country blue and added some sponging and dark blue splatters, and then sealed it with the polyvine exterior extreme, just like the little pot. I left the very bottom of the saucer unsealed and unpainted. If any water drips from the planter, this will allow it to evaporate easily. Now it's time for a beautiful golden glow. I'm using redesigned Decor wax in the color Eternal. It's just the prettiest metallic gold. I'm just rubbing this over the high points on each embellishment. I don't want it to get into any of the cracks or crevices, so I'm putting it on very delicately. I'm putting a small amount of the rub on my finger and rubbing it together with my thumb. Smearing it around like that prevents a large amount of your product ending up in one place. And of course, the little saucer got a golden glow too. Wax rubs don't need to be sealed, so this will always be the last thing you add to your project. Don't forget, all of the wonderful products I'm using today can be found at my favorite place for craft supplies, decoupagenapkins.com, and I'll leave you links in my description box below. I let the gold wax rub dry for several hours, and now I'm buffing it to a fabulous shine. If you enjoyed this video, I have a playlist where you can find a lot of other mixed media projects. Click the picture on the right to watch some other projects you may enjoy. Thanks for watching, and if you don't want to miss any new projects, you can subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner.